I'm not too sure why every year this time, when it comes to the playoffs, there's always these speed humps, like when your car goes in there.
Yeah.
It's like that.
I played amateur football on the East Rand after I'd left university and played there. And we were playing in like the third or fourth tier. We had to have our cards, our registration cards, and we had to show them to the referee before the game.
Spoiled for choice, to be very honest, in order to get a WAFCON team together to defend their title out in Morocco.
And he and Mark Fish apparently went back to Charles Atlantic, and they are absolute
legends there.
And when I spoke, it's weird, when I asked him the question about Charlton Athletic, he got emotional.
You need facts, figures, scores, and scoops, and the truth.
I hope I've got nothing stuck in my teeth because I had a very early breakfast. But Pirates, come on. I had such high hopes thinking that... no product placement there, please,
I just
Kevin.
got it out the way, sorry.
That you'd round off the season with like a win. Up against Magesi, Chipazeza, though, you have to give it to him. Really a player who... He does the most for that team, honestly. I don't know what Magesi would be without Chipazeza. So Pirates are there. I'm not so sure who cares about the UEFA Conference League.
Chelsea fans certainly do.
Yeah. But Chelsea does now. And then Charlie comes out of the woods.
Yeah. Well, young Woods. I had to look at that twice again, yeah.
Anyway, that is Tiger Woods' son, who is following in his father's footsteps. And I always wonder if talent can be taught. Are you born with it, or can talent be taught? And I ask this question why, because I'm sure that Charlie, his whole life long, has probably been on in the clubhouse somewhere.
Yeah, around.
He's been on the fairway. He's just been around. That is it kind of hard that if you grow up in the shadow, I'm going to say, of your father, who is well known, that you catch on some things, but inherently maybe you're just wired differently. Maybe he could be a great footballer. But I always wonder if talent can be taught. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. That is coming up on the show. And then again, we take a look at the African continent and the footballers that Africa produces that then go ahead and shine in Europe. So that's coming up on the show today. And of course, he joins our conversation as well. And to be quite honest with you, Kevin, there's one player that comes to mind. One.
Just one?
One.
Mo Salah. Running down the wing.
Mo Salad. But of course, he will join us a little later as we unpack that conversation and just take a look at the season that was, and obviously African players who are doing the most out in Europe.
Yeah, and there's so many players of African descent. So Adamali Lukman, who born in the UK, and then went to Atalanta, and now I may be going back to the UK to play, but he's registered for Nigeria. Didn't register for England. Players like that. Look, what's his name?
Who are the really good-looking Ghanaian players, the brothers? No,
the really good-looking ones.
Jerome. And yes, boy.
Okay. And then there's Papa Gueye, who plays for Villarreal, Jan Diamande for Langar, and there's also Marshall Manetsi from Wolves. And don't forget that United put in a big offer for, is it Kuna? £63 million.
What?
From Wolves to go to United. And that
63 million. From
63
Wolves
million.
to Man U.
I know.
Isn't that like all the 100 mil gone?
Well, pretty much. No, they're trying to sell 3 other players, obviously, to make up another 100 million.
Just checking.
Yeah,
just
but
checking
that's
what
still
the budget is like.
That's still ridiculous. I mean, it's.
I'm throwing in Lyle Foster there because I can.
There we go. Well, he's in the Premier League next year, and the last time we had a Premier League player was with Everton and Spurs, and his name he's from Eldorado Park. Stephen Pienaar, thank you very much. Yeah.
Is he from Elders or is he from Westbury?
Sixbury.
Anyway,
yeah,
we will confirm.
Okay, we will confirm that.
But let's get into it. I mean, headlines. Mandla Nkazi, obviously Jose Riveiro has left.
Yeah.
For greener pastures.
Where's he going to though?
Egypt somewhere.
not the pyramids. Maybe the Sphinx 11.
They did say Al Ahly though, Al Ali. But I really was hoping that, Pirates, because that was officially, I mean, as much as we say that Saturday was the last day of the season, it wasn't really. Yesterday was, because Pirates played Magesi, and I was hoping for something a little more than a 1-1 draw here. Maswanganye, obviously, finding the back of the net, and then Chirambadare. equalizing there, a 1-1.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Mdu, you're very quiet in the corner. Were you also expecting just a little bit, you were expecting a little more to round off the season? Oh, I thought every game was important.
I love the name of Magesi goalkeeper, Elvis. So Elvis was in the room.
Elvis Chipuzeze, yes.
Yeah, Elvis. I mean, Elvis is a great name. But yeah, I mean, I just think that Pirates are tired into this season. But the season's not finished. We're still waiting for playoffs. Who's going to play in the playoffs?
Oh my gosh, and then that playoffs is even delayed even longer now because the DC that needed to be heard because Durban City fielded an alleged...
ineligible player.
Ineligible
player, sorry.
Thank you. And that needs to be heard before tomorrow, but it was supposed to be heard yesterday. And I don't know. If somebody can put that into perspective for me, I would really appreciate, because I'm not too sure why every year this time, when it comes to the playoffs, there's always these speed humps, like when your car goes in there.
Yeah.
It's like that. I never understand why it can't be smooth sailing to the end of the season. Playoffs are there. As Mdu put it, he said it wasn't an important one. I think every game in the Betway Prem is an important one, but the season has now officially come to a close.
Yeah.
We all know that Mamelodi Sundowns are the champions for the 8th time in a row, and that they now go to play Pyramids in the second leg of the CAF Champions League final, which is going to be on Sunday. Then they come back, and I think mid-June, early June.
Yeah, they're off to the World Club Championships.
Club World Cup, correct. So
Where are they
it's quite hectic, and PSL Awards has been postponed in order to accommodate Sundowns.
I just hope we don't have another season like this season, where we start late, sponsor pulls out.
I'm so tired.
Royal AM, where there's...
Look, if it is started to be the best league on the African continent, right? And that everybody else is looking over at us saying, wow, that is nice and shiny.
Yeah.
It could be shinier with the smaller things just put into action way sooner. Derbies are booked at big stadiums like FNB on time. We get a schedule on time, because I also think the late start just means it's a rush.
Yeah.
It's a rush for everybody. It's a rush for broadcasters. It's just a rush.
Do due diligence on the basic people in the teams. You make sure that they are worthy of running a team. I mean, they have these rules in England where they vet who's going to be buying into the team. Are you going to buy a team and then just run it to the ground?
Yeah, and then there's the SuperSport United, Bloom Celtic.
There's still that as well.
Yes, I guess as much as we say that the season is over, it isn't really, right? It's all the boardroom matters that now come to the fore that really take center stage. And so while the play might not be on the pitch, WAFCON is coming as well, 5th of July till the 26th of July. So we're excited for that. Banyana also yesterday played. So precursor. Looking ahead, Rafil Jane there as well was out for a year because of an injury. Wow. So she comes back, is the captain. And now Coach Desiree Ellis, I think she's spoiled for choice, to be very honest, in order to get a WAFCON team together to defend their title out in Morocco.
It's a very weird paradox where you've got the national teams doing so well and the PSL being so iffy, and almost like it's so confused and so, spasmodic,
of all the words you
but it doesn't. It seems like stop go. Yeah, then you have the Amajita, you have Bafana, Banyana, everyone doing well. So it's almost like they're doing it despite the PSL.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that anything going wrong limits players who are on the pitch to do well at the end of the day, Kev.
Yeah.
And I also think that men and women, whoever is playing, why are you playing?
Yeah.
What is your reason? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to take this? Because as much as I guess the women's side of football is not formalized, and women still have to do a 9 to 5 and play football like it's a hobby here at home. I mean, if you're going abroad, it's a different story, right? And it's different for the men who this is your bread and butter. You can provide for your family by only playing. And so that's why I say maybe...
Yeah. Well, you know what I understand about the whole Durban City thing? So when I played amateur football on the East Rand after I'd left university and played there, and we were playing in like the 3rd or 4th tier, we had to have our cards, our registration cards, and we had to show them to the referee before the game. So how does that not happen at PSL level?
Look, I'm not sure. I can't answer.
Is it just laziness? Is it just daftness? Do you not check? Do you not send it into your teams.
Guys,
Yeah.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
yeah.
Let's also not go back and rewind to
Okay.
Tebogo Mokoena that should not have played a Lesotho. Remember all of that? I'm not mentioning anything. Let's move on now to Chelsea. And
Who cares?
Real
4-1
Betis 4-1, yes.
in a conference that's named after a coffee shop in Johannesburg, Europa. Basically, so they won 4-1. Now they're celebrating. But the only thing they should be celebrating is finishing fourth and then qualifying for the Champions League next year. That's going to make them £60 million, and that means that they'll be financially viable next year because they spent those new owners they spent £1 billion on players
Oh my gosh.
of no worth. Casido won £115 million, and thankfully, Liverpool in the bid for that, and they lost out. And thankfully, we did lose out because then we could buy a couple other players that were of value and use the players we got. Cody Gakpo, another player of African descent, Ryan Gravenberch, and Harvey Elliott, and those players proved themselves.
Yeah. Charlie Woods, we said 16-year-old son of Tiger Woods. He claimed his first AJGA title with a 3-shot win. You go, boy.
Yeah, well, good. I was thinking you were speaking earlier about prodigies and talent. I think of Keke Rosberg, the Formula One driver, and then his son Nico Rosberg, who won the world title. Keke also won the world title. And you go through those people. And is it like is there a DNA? Is there a gene?
I don't know. I want to say it is. Deshi Bakhtawa, whom I chatted on Real Raw and Relatable, it comes from a long line of goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Great-grandfather, grandfather, father, him, brother, I believe. I don't know. Ronwen Williams, it doesn't go so far. Both his parents played, but then again, it was his uncle who was a goalkeeper and said, try out in goals,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about the DNA. And I also think it is such huge shoes to fill, especially if your father, grandfather was like the shizners.
Yeah,
at it,
exactly.
It's Kanyiso Mayo, striker, dyes his hair like his dad. Dad was great, Is he equally as great, or does he forever live in the shadow of his father, for example, It's tough. It's a tough one because we're always going to be, Charlie Woods, Tiger Woods' son. Never just Charlie Woods.
No, you're never going to be, the son of a great Erling Haaland. Daddy played for Man City as well until Roy Keane basically tried to end his career by hacking him and breaking his leg. That tackle still horrifies me because the bone snapped, But he was never going to be as good as his dad. Max Verstappen, his dad, Jos Verstappen, was okay. But Max Verstappen is 15 levels above what his dad was.
Yeah.
So, it's a DNA. Is it just drive? Is it just... You know what it is? I think it's repetition.
Yes.
That you know that. So
Yeah.
it's repetition and consistency. So you said, I'm going to do this. And if your dad says, well, you are going to do it. But Jos Verstappen almost bullied his father. Bullied his son, rather.
Ingebrigtsen, take a look at that.
I know.
That pressure all the time to be able to be the greatest, that I often think, shame. I do feel for him because maybe he comes into his own and he's a wonderful golfer. But by the mere fact that he's got Woods attached, he will always be Tiger Woods' son. Sean Bartlett told me an interesting story with his son that now plays overseas, obviously, and they only knew it was his son when he came to watch. And he said he tried to just take a step back based on the fact that football, and he didn't want to be, cast that shadow that, oh my God, and only then they were like, you're Sean Bartlett's son,
That's
and he
lovely,
said
actually. I like
he
that.
far preferred that so that his son could just come into his own.
Yeah, and Sean Bartlett must be celebrating at the moment because Charlton Athletic have finally got out of, it's League One back into the Championship. So they were in the third tier up to the Championship again. And I didn't realize until we spoke to Sean Bartlett a couple of months ago. And he and Mark Fish apparently went back to Charlton Athletic, and they are absolute
legends there.
And when I spoke, it's weird, when I asked him the question about Charlton Athletic, he got emotional. And it obviously was a special club, so I'm glad they're back in the Championship. Let's hope we see them in the Premier League in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and we can brag and say, look, we've
Look.
got two of our own
Yeah.
who played there as well. Well, coming up after the break, Ona Kosi joins the conversation. You can too. We are on the socials, so please go ahead and follow us. Facebook, Omni Audio, Insta and TikTok. It's Omni Audio Africa. You can follow Baldy over here as well. He's at Kevin McCullum. Am I right?
I think so.
We're talking about the greatest footballers from the African continent doing wonderful things out in Europe.